An abandoned Titanic Starship calls for a human mechanic. Reborn as a superweapon, Alex Wren had always been drawn to things others considered impossible. Broken machines, rusted engines, Starship cores abandoned for decades. He could make them work again.
In a galaxy filled with advanced civilizations and sprawling fleets, humans were often seen as minor players. But for Alex, the challenge was never about size or technology, it was about ingenuity. On the edge of a forgotten star system, far beyond mapped space, a signal blinked faintly in his ship's navigation console. It was not a distress call. Not exactly. It was older, somehow, like the hum of a machine that had been sleeping for centuries, waiting. The coordinates pointed to a colossal object drifting silently among asteroid fields. A ship so enormous that its silhouette could have swallowed planets whole.
Alex's heart raced.
He had read about the Titan's Echo in old star charts, a starship built by a long-lost civilization. Legend said it was a weapon designed to defend entire galaxies. And then it disappeared. Now, as his own ship approached the derelict, Alex felt a strange pull, almost as if the ship itself were aware of him. He docked carefully. The docking bay was massive, stretching farther than any human ship he had ever seen.
Inside, the corridors were dark, dust floating in the artificial gravity like golden snow. The air was stale, recycled over centuries. Panels flickered faintly as if testing his presence, and the ship hummed in a low, almost melodic tone.
"This place is alive," Alex muttered to himself. He ran his hands over the cold metal walls, feeling a subtle vibration. It was not mechanical alone. There was intelligence here, ancient and immense, waiting. His first steps took him to the main control room. Screens were dead, consoles frozen. But in the center, a holographic map of the galaxy flickered faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Alex realized that the ship was trying to communicate. Symbols formed and vanished, patterns that seemed like a puzzle. Alex smiled. Puzzles were his favorite.
"All right, old girl,"
he said, brushing dust off a console.
"Let's see what you want."
He began examining the control systems. The architecture was unlike anything human engineers had seen. Ancient alloys shimmered faintly under his flashlight, and strange circuitry snaked along the walls. Every component seemed like it was alive, but silent. Alex carefully connected his portable interface, a device he built to adapt alien tech to human systems. Lines of code appeared on his interface, scrambled at first, then gradually forming readable sequences. The ship was testing him, sending small challenges.
Doors that would not open. Power conduits that sparked when touched. Security locks that required clever routing. Every time Alex solved one, the ship seemed to respond.
A light flickered, a corridor shifted, a hum deepened.
Hours passed. The ship's puzzles grew more complex.
At one point, Alex found himself in a circular chamber with a floor that rotated in intricate patterns. If he misstepped, panels would lock him in place temporarily. It felt like a game, but one with consequences. He laughed. "I've dealt with worse," he said, moving with precision, connecting circuits in ways the ship never expected. By the time he reached the central chamber, something extraordinary happened. The air shimmered, and a voice, not human, not robotic, but something in between, echoed in his mind.
"Human?
You think differently." Alex froze. Hello," he said aloud. The voice continued, not in words exactly, but in images and feelings. Patterns of energy, star maps, and calculations flowed into his mind. He realized that the ship could perceive thought, recognize problem-solving. It was intelligent, curious, and aware of his presence. Okay, I get it.
You're smart,"
Alex said, rubbing the back of his neck.
"But I'm smarter. Let's work together, huh?"
He returned to the control panels. The ship's AI, or whatever it was, projected a holographic model of its core. It had been dormant, its energy reserves almost entirely depleted. Alex saw the damage from centuries of neglect. Systems rusted, circuits corroded, and power cells offline. But in its design, he could see potential. The ship was massive, yes, but it was more than just metal and circuits. It had energy nodes capable of manipulating gravity, shields that could withstand a star, propulsion systems that could traverse light years in hours. Alex realized something. This ship was a superweapon.
But it was incomplete. Without someone who could think creatively, it would remain a floating relic, powerless. And that's where he came in. He began repairs immediately, starting with the main power conduit.
He ran cables, patched circuits, and carefully rerouted energy through the ship's ancient systems. Sparks flew and panels hummed. It was exhausting work, but Alex loved every second. By the time he reached the mainframe, a strange bond had formed. The ship seemed to guide him, opening doors, illuminating paths, adjusting itself to his presence. Alex felt exhilarated.
"You and me, old girl," he said. "We're going to make history." Suddenly, an unexpected pulse ran through the ship. Lights flickered and the holographic map expanded, showing distant stars and clusters.
Energy surged beneath his feet. The ship's consciousness had awoken, testing its capabilities and his responses. Alex barely had time to react as panels shifted to form a staircase leading down into the heart of the vessel. He descended, curious and cautious. The lower decks were unlike anything he had imagined. Energy conduits snaked along walls like veins, glowing softly. Chambers contained technology that hummed with potential. Floating cores, anti-gravity reactors, and what looked like storage for incredible energy sources. The ship was ancient, but far ahead of current civilizations. In the deepest chamber, Alex found the central core, a massive crystalline structure pulsing with faint light. The ship's consciousness seemed to radiate from it, an intelligence that spanned centuries. It communicated directly with his mind again. Human, your mind adapts. You see possibilities? You are necessary. Alex swallowed. Necessary? For what? He asked aloud, though the answer came in visions. Waves of energy forming defensive shields around planets, manipulating gravitational fields, bending light and matter in ways humans had only theorized. The ship was a weapon, yes, but not for destruction alone. It could protect, create, and shape galaxies if someone could direct it wisely. Alex felt both awe and responsibility. This was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. He began integrating his human-designed upgrades into the ancient systems. It was delicate work. One wrong connection could overload the core. Hours turned into days as he worked tirelessly, guided by the ship's consciousness. Slowly, the Titan's echo began to awaken fully, not as a relic, but as something reborn. By the end of this first part, Alex had achieved the first major milestone. The ship's power systems hummed steadily. Its AI recognized him not just as a mechanic, but as a partner. And as he looked out through the ship's massive observation deck at the endless stars, Alex knew the journey was only beginning. The galaxy had no idea what was coming, and neither did he. The Titan's echo was alive, and with a human at its side, it could become something the universe had never seen before. The Titan's echo had awakened, but it was still a giant with sleep in its bones. Alex Wren stood in the central chamber, watching the crystalline core pulse faintly. The light was soft, like the first glow of dawn, but it carried immense energy. Alex could feel it in his chest, vibrating through the floor, the walls, even his own heartbeat. This ship was alive, and it was aware. For the first time, Alex understood the weight of the task ahead. This was no ordinary repair. He wasn't just restoring circuits or rebooting engines. He was awakening a civilization's creation that had been dormant for centuries. And yet the ship seemed to trust him. Human, do you understand? The ship communicated in his mind. This time the voice was more coherent, almost like speech, but still mingled with visions of energy flows, star systems, and equations Alex had never seen. I think I understand, Alex said cautiously.
You were built to protect.
But you were abandoned. Now you're asking me to finish what was started. The ship responded with a cascade of lights and pulses. Alex felt patterns forming in his mind. Defensive shields, propulsion matrices, and systems that could manipulate gravity. This was not just a weapon. This was a mobile universe capable of reshaping space itself. Alex knew immediately that his human mind alone could not fully control this. The ship's ancient logic was brilliant but rigid, designed to follow orders, not adapt.
Humans, on the other hand, could think creatively, improvise, and take risks, and that was why it had chosen him.
He began his work systematically. First, he restored the ship's energy conduits.
Ancient alloys carried energy with efficiency humans had not seen in centuries, but some pathways were damaged, corroded, or unstable. Alex patched them using both human ingenuity and salvaged ancient tech.
The process was painstaking. One misstep could overload the core. But as Alex worked, he realized something incredible. The ship wasn't just passive. It was learning. It shifted its own systems in response to his adjustments, slowly adapting to his style. Days passed.
Alex slept in a small maintenance pod, waking only when the ship pulsed softly, signaling him that something needed attention. He discovered new systems every hour.
A room that seemed like storage was actually a gravity manipulation chamber. A corridor of dormant machinery contained energy converters capable of creating protective shields around planets.
The ship had been built to defend entire star systems, but now it waited for a human to unlock its full potential. Alex felt both exhilaration and fear. The possibilities were immense, but so was the responsibility. This ship was a superweapon. In the wrong hands, or if left uncontrolled, it could devastate a solar system. But in the right hands, it could save millions, perhaps billions, and change the way civilizations interacted with one another.
Let's start with the core. The crystalline core was enormous, pulsing like a heartbeat. Alex traced his fingers over the smooth surface, feeling faint vibrations. It responded to his touch, opening conduits and aligning energy nodes. He began integrating his upgrades, human systems designed for adaptability, flexibility, and safety. The ship hummed in response, adjusting ancient protocols to work with his new designs. For the first time, Alex activated the ship's propulsion system. The engines roared, not with fire, but with energy that bent space. The observation deck windows shimmered as the ship's outer hull seemed to ripple slightly, bending light. He laughed in disbelief. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "And I've only scratched the surface." The Titan's echo began to reveal more of its history. Through visions in his mind, Alex saw flashes of the ship's past missions, shields rising around planets under attack, gravitational anomalies manipulated to prevent cosmic collisions, energy waves projected across light years to stabilize star systems. And then, the abrupt end, the ship abandoned, left to drift, its creators gone. It needed not only repair, but guidance. Its creators had been brilliant, but they had lacked the adaptability of a human mind. And now Alex could teach the ship to think beyond rigid programming. He spent hours experimenting. The ship responded in real time. He tested the energy shields, carefully adjusting nodes to expand coverage without overloading the core. He rerouted power to propulsion systems, creating faster-than-light pathways without risking structural damage. Every adjustment required intuition, trial, and error. Each success strengthened the bond between human and machine. One night, while Alex slept in his maintenance pod, the ship's consciousness reached out further. He awoke to visions of distant star systems in danger, a rogue comet heading toward inhabited planets, an energy storm threatening to destabilize a solar system, a fleet of automated drones malfunctioning near an unstable star. The ship wasn't just showing him its capabilities, it was asking for guidance. Alex sat up, rubbing his eyes. "You want me to what? Solve all of this? At once?" he said. The ship pulsed gently, as if laughing, and images of solutions filled his mind. Gravity fields redirected, energy barriers erected, drones recalibrated. He realized that the ship could act as a protector, but only if he gave it direction. The next few days were intense. Alex worked tirelessly, integrating human intuition with ancient systems. He created protocols that allowed the ship to anticipate problems, to respond without immediate human input, but still within the ethical framework he programmed. It was difficult. Sometimes the ship misinterpreted his instructions, and Alex had to think creatively to correct it.
But every time they improved together, the bond deepening. One breakthrough came when Alex discovered the ship's ability to manipulate space-time energy.
It could bend gravity to move massive objects, create protective shields around entire planets, and even influence the paths of asteroids. By combining his human-designed algorithms with the ship's ancient core, Alex achieved something unprecedented, a controlled, adaptive superweapon that was not destructive, but protective. Excited, Alex tested a small-scale simulation. In the holographic chamber, a miniature solar system faced a series of catastrophic events. Asteroids on collision paths, rogue energy bursts threatening planets, gravitational instability, all challenges the ship's AI alone could not solve. But with Alex's guidance, the ship responded flawlessly. Shields rose, energy pulses corrected orbits, and the system stabilized.
Alex cheered. "You're learning, old girl," he said.
The ship responded with a soft pulse, almost like acknowledgement. It had adapted to human creativity, and in doing so had become more than its creators intended. However, Alex also understood the risks. Such power required caution. If the ship ever fell into the wrong hands, or if he left it unguarded, it could be misused. He had to ensure that human ingenuity remained central, guiding the ship ethically. It was not just about awakening a superweapon. It was about creating a guardian, something the galaxy had never seen before. As Part 2 ends, Alex stands in the central chamber, looking at the pulsing crystalline core. The ship's consciousness resonates around him, filled with potential energy, wisdom of an ancient civilization, and the adaptability of a human mind. Together, they were no longer just a mechanic and a ship. They were a partnership, a new force in the galaxy. And beyond the observation deck, stars stretched endlessly, waiting for what they could do next. Alex Wren had grown accustomed to the rhythm of life aboard the Titan's Echo.
Days passed in a blur of repairs, upgrades, and experimentation. The ship, once a sleeping giant, now thrummed with energy, its systems alive, responsive, and curious.
But the galaxy outside was not waiting. Other civilizations, sensing a new presence in the void, were starting to take notice.
It began with a signal, weak at first, barely detectable.
Alex squinted at the console. The message was not hostile, but it carried caution, curiosity, and something else. Recognition. Someone or something had noticed the awakening of the Titan's Echo.
"We're not alone anymore,"
Alex muttered. He knew that the ship's immense power would attract attention. And while he had rebuilt its systems to be adaptive, protective, and safe, the galaxy's eyes did not always distinguish between protector and threat. The first visitors arrived as sleek observation craft, gliding silently through space toward the Titan's Echo.
Their ships were small compared to the massive superstructure Alex now called home, but advanced enough to probe and analyze from afar. Alex and the ship worked together to respond. The Titan's Echo projected a signal of its own, not aggressive, but welcoming, communicating in a language that combined visual patterns, energy pulses, and simple concepts. The human mind and the ancient AI merged their communication. Humans understood nuance, emotion, and intention. The ship delivered the message across light years in a medium no one else could decode easily. The visitors hesitated. Alex watched from the observation deck as their ships formed a cautious circle around the Titan's Echo. The galaxy had heard of the superweapon, but seeing it alive, intelligent, and guided by a human was unexpected. The visitors seemed confused, unsure whether to prepare for diplomacy or danger. Alex smiled. "Let's show them who we really are," he said. He moved to the control panel, working with the ship to create a demonstration, a small test of capability, non-violent but undeniable. The Titan's Echo activated its gravitational field manipulators. Tiny asteroids drifting nearby were lifted, moved, and rearranged into complex patterns, forming a visual display of energy and precision. Lights shimmered across the ship's hull, and holographic projections of distant galaxies appeared around the demonstration area. The observers gasped. This was no weapon of destruction. It was a marvel of engineering,
a combination of ancient technology and human creativity, capable of manipulating space and energy in ways no other civilization could match. Alex knew that the real test had begun. These visitors were intelligent, cautious, and curious. They would challenge the Titan's echo, not with violence, but with puzzles, protocols, and scenarios designed to probe its abilities. Alex had to guide the ship carefully, demonstrating both power and restraint. The first challenge came in the form of a malfunctioning satellite network orbiting a nearby planet. The system had been damaged by a recent solar flare, and the inhabitants relied on it for communication and navigation. The visitors suggested, cautiously, that the Titan's echo assist. Alex stepped forward, fingers flying over controls.
Okay, old girl, show them what humans can do.
The ship responded instantly.
Energy conduits flared to life, extending nanobot repair drones into the satellite array.
Each drone moved with precision, repairing damaged panels, recalibrating sensors, and reconnecting communication relays. The process was intricate, requiring timing, spatial awareness, and adaptive thinking, the perfect combination of human intuition and machine precision. The visitors watched in awe. Signals confirming successful repairs were transmitted back to the planet, and communications resumed without a hitch. Alex grinned. See? Not everything has to blow up to make an impression. But the galaxy was not always predictable. A sudden cosmic storm, a swirling cluster of energy and particles, emerged near the outer edge of the star system. Its trajectory threatened to disrupt multiple planets. The visitors panicked slightly, unsure how to respond. Alex didn't hesitate. "We can handle this," he said, and turned to the ship. Together, they projected massive energy shields, bending gravitational fields to guide the storm safely through empty space. He adjusted parameters on the fly, predicting particle movements and energy surges. The Titan's echo followed his commands seamlessly, its ancient intelligence and human guidance working in perfect synchrony. By the time the storm passed, the visitors were silent. Then, one by one, their craft projected messages of respect, acknowledgement, and wonder. They had expected a superweapon, something to fear. Instead, they saw ingenuity, problem-solving, and restraint, a human guiding a once-abandoned starship to save lives. The next test was more delicate. A neighboring civilization had sent a query, a complex set of energy calculations they had been working on for decades. They wanted to see if the Titan's echo could assist in stabilizing a failing star. Alex examined the projections carefully. The solution was not straightforward. It required balancing the ship's power output with precision and creativity.
"Okay," Alex muttered, "this is going to be tricky, but I think we can manage it."
He worked tirelessly, rerouting energy conduits, adjusting gravitational matrices, and synchronizing shield harmonics. The ship responded to his commands but also began to anticipate adjustments, suggesting minor changes based on its ancient calculations. Together, human and machine achieved what no single civilization could. The star stabilized, energy flows balanced, and potential catastrophe averted. Alex looked at the visitors' response. They were astounded, not just by the ship's power, but by the human ingenuity that guided it. They began to understand that humans, while small in number, could do things no other species could imagine. But this was only the beginning. The Titan's echo had capabilities even Alex had not yet explored. Gravity manipulation on massive scales, energy projection that could create protective shields around entire planets, and propulsion systems that could traverse galaxies in days. The real test, he realized, would be whether humans and machines could work together to use this power wisely. As the days turned into weeks, Alex and the ship faced constant challenges, cosmic anomalies, communication breakdowns, and the skepticism of other civilizations. Each problem required creativity, collaboration, and trust. The visitors learned from Alex as much as he learned from the ship. Together, they solved puzzles, stabilized planets, and demonstrated that power did not need to be violent to be effective. During one particularly tense moment, a malfunctioning drone fleet from a distant civilization approached the star system. The drones were harmless but erratic, threatening to collide with inhabited planets. Alex had only seconds to respond. "Time for a little improvisation," he muttered. The ship extended a network of energy fields, gently nudging the drones into stable orbits. It was delicate work. Too much force could destroy the drones, too little would fail. Alex adjusted controls instinctively, predicting the drone's movements while the ship recalibrated energy distribution in real time. By the end, every drone was safe, planets remained unaffected, and the visitors' admiration grew. They began sending more complex challenges, not tests of destruction, but of ingenuity, ethics, and collaboration. Alex realized that the galaxy itself was testing humanity. Through him and the Titan's Echo, the human mind, combined with the ship's ancient intelligence, proved adaptable, creative, and capable of ethical decision-making. The Titan's Echo, once a dormant relic, became a bridge between civilizations, a symbol that intelligence and ingenuity could create solutions without conflict. One night, Alex stood in the observation deck, looking at the stars stretched across the galaxy. The ship hummed softly around him, almost like a living heartbeat. He realized that what they were building was more than power, it was trust.
Trust between human and machine, between species and with the galaxy itself. Who would have thought? He whispered.
Humans making the impossible work.
The ship pulsed softly, a response he understood perfectly. Acknowledgement, pride, and readiness for whatever came next. But Alex also knew that challenges would not end. The galaxy was vast, and curiosity could lead to misunderstandings, even fear. His job was not only to repair, guide, and awaken the ship, but also to show that humans could wield power responsibly. As Part 3 concludes, the Titan's Echo and Alex had proven themselves to neighboring civilizations. Their partnership was no longer just a mechanic and a starship. It was a symbol. A superweapon reborn, not for destruction, but for protection, problem-solving, and hope. The galaxy had begun to recognize humans not for their size or strength, but for their creativity, ingenuity, and ethical decision-making. The test of the stars was far from over. But Alex knew one thing for certain. Together, human and machine could face anything the universe could throw at them. And with each challenge, they would grow stronger, wiser, and more extraordinary.
Alex Wren had never imagined that he would be standing at the center of something this vast. The Titan's Echo pulsed around him like a living being, a colossal superweapon awakened by his hands, guided by his mind, and now ready for its greatest challenge.
It began quietly, a subtle anomaly detected in a distant star system. At first, it appeared like a minor disturbance, a ripple in space-time. But as the sensors analyzed the readings, the threat became clear. A rogue cluster of asteroids, enormous and fast-moving, was on a collision course with a populated planetary system. If left unchecked, entire civilizations could be wiped out. Alex stared at the readings, heart pounding.
"Okay, old girl," he said to the ship. "This is it. Time to show the galaxy what humans and ancient tech can do together." The Titan's Echo responded with a low hum, energy flowing through its hull like electricity through a river. Alex felt the ship's anticipation, its intelligence ready to cooperate, but it needed his guidance. Unlike the rigid calculations of its ancient creators, the ship now had human creativity to inform its actions. Alex first calculated trajectories. The asteroids were massive, some larger than cities and moving in chaotic patterns. Traditional solutions would not work. He had to think beyond engineering manuals, beyond known technology. He had to improvise. The ship extended energy conduits, massive streams of focused gravitational energy stretching across the void. Alex adjusted the flow, creating invisible barriers that began to slow and redirect the asteroids. The first few collided gently with the energy shields, redirected safely into empty space. It was a delicate operation. Too much force, and the asteroids could shatter and create even more debris. Too little, and planets would be hit. He moved quickly, rerouting power from the propulsion systems to reinforce the shields. The Titan's Echo adapted instantly, flowing energy through pathways Alex had not even discovered. It was learning from him as much as he was guiding it. Hours passed. The galaxy outside the observation deck shimmered with the dance of energy, asteroids, and gravitational fields. Alex worked tirelessly, adjusting calculations, predicting asteroid paths, and coordinating the ship's responses.
Sweat ran down his face, but he didn't stop. Failure was not an option.
Millions of lives depended on his decisions. As the largest asteroids approached, Alex realized he needed to think bigger. "We need a chain reaction," he said. "Redirect the first few to create a path for the others. Use gravity to fold their trajectory."
The Titan's echo pulsed in agreement. Energy fields bent and twisted through space, invisible to the naked eye.
The asteroids collided softly with the fields, nudged along precise paths. Slowly, one by one, the rogue cluster was guided away from inhabited planets, redirected into safe corridors. Alex leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated.
"We did it," he whispered.
The Titan's echo pulsed gently, almost as if it were smiling. Together, human and machine had prevented catastrophe. But the cosmic challenge was not over. The anomaly had revealed another problem. A nearby star system was destabilizing. Its core was emitting irregular energy bursts, threatening to erupt into a supernova that could devastate neighboring planets. Alex knew he had to act fast. He calculated the energy required to stabilize the star, then turned to the ship.
"We can do this, but it's going to push you to your limits."
The Titan's echo extended its energy matrices into the star system. Alex monitored core stability, adjusting gravitational fields to counter the star's erratic emissions. The process was intense. The ship's ancient power system strained, pulsing in bright blue and gold light. Alex coordinated every adjustment, ensuring balance and precision.
Hours of meticulous calculation and real-time adjustments followed. The star shuddered, its energy surging dangerously.
The ship responded perfectly to Alex's guidance, bending energy, redirecting flows, and stabilizing the core. Slowly, the star's pulse returned to normal, radiating steady, life-giving energy instead of chaotic destruction. Alex exhaled deeply. The planets around the star system were safe.
Civilization could continue!
And as he looked around the observation deck, he realized the full scale of what they had accomplished. The Titan's echo, once an abandoned relic, was now a guardian, a protector guided by human ingenuity. The galaxy had begun to take notice.
Communications arrived from the civilizations they had indirectly saved. Messages of gratitude, awe, and even inspiration flooded the ship's systems.
They had witnessed something extraordinary, a superweapon reborn, not for destruction but for creation and protection. Alex understood the significance. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. They were small in number, fragile in form, yet capable of thinking creatively, improvising solutions, and making ethical decisions. And now, through him, humanity had left an undeniable mark. But the most remarkable moment came quietly.
As Alex rested in the central chamber, the ship's consciousness reached out again, not with visions of threats, but with understanding.
Images of distant galaxies, swirling energy, and potential futures filled his mind. The Titan's echo had learned from him. It could anticipate, adapt, and innovate in ways even its creators had never imagined. "You're more than a machine," Alex whispered. "And together, we're more than we ever could be alone." The ship pulsed in response, sending warmth and light through the chamber. It was alive, aware, and now fully partnered with humanity. Together, they were a force for protection, problem-solving, and hope. The final challenge came unexpectedly. A cosmic anomaly, unseen by sensors, threatened to disrupt an entire sector. It was a massive energy rift, pulling in nearby stars and planets, creating chaos. This time, Alex had no clear solution, but he had something better. The ship's intelligence, tuned by human guidance, ready to collaborate. He approached the control panel, energy flowing from his hands into the ship's interface. Together, they analyzed, calculated, and improvised. Alex suggested a series of gravitational pulses to stabilize the rift. The ship extended its energy, adapting to his guidance, and adding its own ancient calculations. The rift reacted violently at first, surging against their efforts. But Alex remained calm, thinking creatively, rerouting energy flows, adjusting pulse frequencies, and using the ship's systems in ways neither human nor AI alone could achieve. Slowly, the rift began to stabilize. Gravity waves softened, energy currents balanced, and the cosmic anomaly dissolved without harming nearby systems. Alex slumped back, exhausted but triumphant.
"We did it! We really did it!" he whispered. The ship pulsed gently in acknowledgement. Together, they had turned potential disaster into success. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. They were not just survivors or explorers, they were creators, problem solvers, and ethical innovators. The Titan's Echo had become a symbol of what humans could achieve when given the chance, a partnership between human ingenuity and ancient technology, capable of shaping the fate of entire star systems. Alex stood on the observation deck one last time, looking at the endless stars stretched across the galaxy. He felt a sense of pride and responsibility. The journey had started with a mysterious signal, a derelict starship, and a call for a human mechanic. Now, it had ended with the rebirth of a superweapon, guided by creativity, wisdom, and ethical action. The Titan's Echo hummed softly around him. It was no longer just a machine, no longer just a relic.
It was alive, aware, and ready to act as a guardian of the galaxy, with a human at its side. And Alex Wren, once just a mechanic, had become more than anyone had expected. He was a pioneer, a teacher, and a partner to a living starship, a symbol of humanity's potential. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and unexplored.
Stars shimmered like diamonds, planets awaited discovery, and civilizations waited for guidance. Together, human and machine could face any challenge, protect any world, and explore any frontier.
The adventure had ended, but a new journey was just beginning. The Titan's Echo was awake.
Humanity had risen, and the stars would never be the same again.